Yes, I'm excited to welcome you to Miss Shannan's Comedy Through the Chaos. Hey everybody, I'm Miss Shannan. Welcome. To invite you into what we do here is that I have a show called Miss Shannan's Comedy Through the Chaos. And what we do is that every other month we have a show where we have a different chaos of the moment that we explore, because nobody wants all of these chaoses to stay forever, right? We want them to go away. So we have a different chaos of the moment and we explore it, and then I invite my funny stand-up comedian and storyteller friends to join me and we do this show. And we're very fortunate because we were able to start this in 2020 as a web series. And we all know what happened in 2020 and why it had to be a web series. But I'm very fortunate that some of my performers that are joining me this evening actually were with us through that experience and now have joined us for the live show where you are getting a very specific convergence variety of that show. So, as I mentioned, we have a different chaos that we talk about, and I tell my funny friends that this is what their assignment is, and then I see what they come up with. And our chaos of the moment this evening is the chaos of identity. That's not layered or complex at all, is it? Just the idea of who are you, or who do you think you are? What do you label yourself as? What do you see yourself as? And what is most important to you that makes you the human being that you are? And so we're going to have a variety of performers this evening that are going to talk about it. So is it okay if I just tell you a story really quick first before I bring up my friend? Because I was thinking about it when I came up with the idea, and I'm like, okay, we're going to be talking about how everyone's invited, and that's a lot of making sure that everyone is really knowing who they are and that we appreciate them coming here. And I grew up a nerd, and I was thinking about this when I assigned us the idea of identity. Is I was thinking back to when I was a little girl and I was growing up in Phoenix, Arizona, and one of the things that I learned back then was little black girls aren't supposed to like Star Wars. At least if you ask my grandma Edna, she helped raise me. So when I was 4 and 5 years old and I was growing up in Arizona, I knew that I was not supposed to like Star Wars. I wasn't really supposed to listen to any secular music, and I'm not supposed to wear pants. It was always dresses. That's what it was. And so my grandma Edna was very important in our lives, and that we did. But what I was supposed to do is I was supposed to go to church on Wednesday and Friday and Sundays. I was supposed to make sure that I read the books that she gave me, and then occasionally what I would do, I would sit there in the kitchen, and I would sit still as I sat next to the stove, and then she would take out this hot comb, and she would go ahead and straighten my hair, and then usually braid into these fine braids, usually with beads at the bottom. That's what little black girls were supposed to do, if you ask my grandmother Edna. Now, my mom disagreed, but my mom also happens to be black, so she has her own opinions. And so my mom was okay with the fact that little black girls did a bunch of other things, but this is also in the early 1970s in Phoenix, Arizona. My mom was a disruptor. She was like a poli-sci major at Arizona State University, and she sat around with her hippie friends, and my whole house was just a haze of weed. Weed and thinking, that's what they did. And I sat over in the corner and I read my books, and that's what I did. And that was cool. And my mom spent a lot of time disagreeing with my grandmother. And one of the things that she disagreed about was that she really thought that young girls should be able to be their own person and like what they want and do a variety of things. And I'm sure she believed that, but she really did it because my mother enjoyed pissing my grandmother off. I mean, if a lady could have a hobby, that is what she did. And she did things all the time just to get under my grandma's skin, and it was usually right. And it was fine, and she was excellent at it. And so one of the things that my mom did is she took me to the first movie I had ever gone to, and that movie was Star Wars. And I will tell you, it changed my world. As a young black girl growing up in the deserts of Phoenix, Arizona, I could now relate to Luke Skywalker. I too wanted to go on adventures, right? I wanted to go to Tashi Station. I didn't want to stay home. I looked up and I only saw one son, but I really understood why having his two would pull him out of his home. And so I remember that was what started me down this road of being the geek that I am today, is reading that, and my mom would encourage me. Again, it continued to piss my grandmother off until her passing. But my mom was always like, yeah, you can go ahead and read that. And it's funny that when I look back at a lot of the source material that made me the fully formed adulting woman that I am today, it's not always the best sourcing material, because that was a long time ago. But my mom would kind of let me do whatever we want. And so I remember that she let me read a bunch of things. Did everybody read the Flowers in the Attic book? I don't think I should have read that. I don't think I should have read that when I was... I don't think that... Okay. If you haven't read it, Google it, but don't give it to your children. I read a bunch of Isaac Asimov. I saw all of the movies. I saw all those things. And then I remember there was a series of books that I read, and they were by Harold Robbins. And so I read these Harold Robbins books when I was in 8th grade. And the reason, if you're like the people that are saying and making that noise, Harold Robbins is glorious, but it is smut. And I mean like old school smut, where there are books called like The Pirate and the Lonely Lady and those kind of things. And there was cocaine and anal sex, and that's what I read in 8th grade. And of course I'm sitting here dysfunctional in my adulting, because that's what my source material was. But I read it because I watched Star Trek, and Kirk and Spock said it was one of the classics. And my mother did not disagree with them. The thing I appreciate most about my mom is that she did encourage me to go ahead and do that. And one of the things that when I look back into that little black girls shouldn't like Star Wars, and I look at that label that was presented on me and all of the shoulds that we all experience in our lives, all of the, you should be this person, you should dress this way, you should enjoy this media, you shouldn't enjoy these other things. All of those shoulds just eventually, don't we all just go to that point and hopefully where you go, those shoulds are nothing but weights on our shoulders. And that hopefully we all get to that point that we're able to peel away some of those shoulds and look at the things that we are, which we get to decide. So even though there are all of these stories that are told to us about who we should be, what we should at least all know as the amazing creative nerds that we are is that you get to imagine where you go. You get to decide what that next adventure will be for you. You get to decide how far you will go into the universe, and then maybe you stepped a little bit too far, then what are you going to do when you need to come back, right? And one of the best things about being in a family like we have here at Convergence, that even if you've convinced yourself that those shoulds are more important than your wants and who you say you are, you know that you have a community that when you're ready to shake that off and come back, we're all like, okay, that's fine. Let's shake that dust off. Let's invite you back into the family. And one day you will remember that just like our theme this year, you are always invited. Right, everyone? One of the things that is in my gratitude practice year after year and day after day is that I have some amazingly talented friends who, when I put out a call and I say, hey, will you come hang out with some of my other favorite human beings, they always say yes. And so my 3 fellow performers are going to come up here and they are going to explore the idea of identity throughout tonight. And then I will come back and I will share some more stories with you periodically. So is that okay, everybody? You're ready for your next performance? Take the stage. Sometimes somebody runs into your circle and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I needed to be friends with you, and this next performer is definitely one of those people. And so one of the best things about it is that he has stepped in to help me co-curate a number of these performances when we want to go and perform with all of our geekly brother and sisters, because down in his core, he is one of us. He is the co-host of the Awful Service podcast. He performs all over the Midwest, and I am happy to bring him to our stage. Please welcome Matt Doyama.
I love that. Miss Shannan's like, oh, this guy's in my circle, and I love him, and I do all these shows with him, and she still can't pronounce my last name correctly. It's amazing. It's Doyma. It's like middle school all over again, you guys. Are you a substitute teacher as well? Like, what the fuck? Sorry, I know there's young children here. I'm not supposed to swear. I too come from a galaxy far, far away, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Why are you applauding? Have you been to St. Cloud, Minnesota? It's like going to a diner with a meth problem, okay? It's like, do you like your corporate restaurants to be just a little worse? St. Cloud, Minnesota. Do you want to get stabbed by a guy that looks like me? St. Cloud, Minnesota. It's where I'm from. It's who I am. I love being here. This is amazing. I've been able to walk around. I love it. It's a lot of people watching, and you people are all gorgeous. Holy crap. I'm going to have sex with all of you other than it's going to be tough, but I'm going to stick through it. I've been drinking some Diet Pepsi. We're ready to go. And I get it. I know. They're like, you didn't cosplay. And I'm like, I totally cosplayed as the guy who has a partner with him and really likes your vibe and just wants to slide you a key card. I think you'd be fun. This is my wife. Yeah, and I love the people who aren't laughing at that. There's tabletop games. There's cosplay and group activities. If I didn't know any better, I'd swear this was a polyamorous convention. Like, don't. There's so many thruples. I see you. It's okay. It's fun. Convergence is fun because a stag and a unicorn have two definitions, okay? I am polyamorous because that's how I know about all of these things. Some of you are laughing. Some of you are like, maybe we should check his vibe later. What's going on? What's up? But people think it's all about the sex when you're in polyamorous relationships. No, it's who's going to be on the next D&D campaign. That's really all it is. Don't. Everyone's like, oh, is it all it is? Like, no. All I do is now, instead of getting rejected by one partner, I get it twice. I get it in stereo. Like, no. And if I have a third, it's a surround sound. You know, that's what it is. That's what it is. I'm high. You think you could come around? There's people in rainbow unicorns. There's a Big Lebowski cosplayer, a guy in a Boy Scout outfit. But I'm the weird one, okay? I saw your party rooms up there. I know what's happening later. I was in the bathroom and I saw that they had the little, and I love that. I love that they have the unisex bathrooms here. I think that's amazing. Who cares? As long as you wash your hands, that's all that matters. If you don't, straight to jail. That's it. But they had like the tampons, they had the pads. That's great. And then I noticed, I'm looking through there and I'm like, wait, is that lube? Yeah. And then I saw condoms. I'm like, that's good for them. That's good. They're practicing. But then I saw Magnum. I'm like, oh, this really is a fantasy con. There's definitely some fanfic going on there, if you know what I mean. God, I'm glad you guys are all about this. The rest of my stuff's terrible. I don't know. Are we Costco people? Love Costco, you guys. I love Costco. I was in Costco recently, and I saw 3 kids in a shopping cart, and I was like, holy shit. They really do sell everything here. I asked the guy, I said, hey, how much for the kids? How much did you pay? And when he told me, I'm like, that's cheaper than one on the outside. So I bought 2 packs and threw the kids I'm not using in the freezer. That's a joke about Alabama. I wanted to say, where are my introverts at, but I know you wouldn't raise your hands. There's a few of you who got drugged here by a partner or two. And I found out recently that an introvert's biggest fear in life is choking to death alone. It's a true story. They have a chair in their house that's designated for that. They can't get rid of it. And I, as an extrovert, have a new biggest fear in life, and that's being choked to death by an introvert. Alone. Because they've been thinking about it a lot. Oh, my God. Where's my DARE graduates? Yeah, how many of you kept the pledge? Yeah, I loved DARE growing up. That was my favorite class. That cop would come in with his briefcase full of miracles, and he'd open it up and he'd show you what the drugs look like, the packaging they come in, how much they cost, who to purchase it from. You guys had a different kind of DARE, didn't you? But then they would tell you the biggest lie you would ever hear in your adolescent life. people are going to be offering you free drugs for the rest of your existence. And I'm like, listen, that only happened to me in one of the party rooms at Convergence, okay? You're like, the drugs thing, that's too far, Matt. You go back to polyamory. We liked that. No, I liked the anti-drug ads. Yeah, I love the anti-drug ads. They made me want to get so high. Like there was the one where that lady was mad because she couldn't make an omelet. And if you don't remember that commercial, that's your brain on drugs. There was the one after 9/11, like, if you buy a dime bag, you're supporting Al-Qaeda. And I'm like, pretty sure I bought it off Bill. He's from Hibbing. I don't know if Bill has any connections to Afghanistan, but I'll ask. There was the one where the girl was melted into the couch. You remember that? Like, that's the whole reason I smoke pot. Like, I want the bone go away strain. I'm 40 and work on my feet all the time. Or my personal favorite was the dog that was disappointed. Do you remember that one? Oh my God, that's amazing. If there was a strain of marijuana that made it so I could talk to my pets, I would get a second mortgage. Like, and it would just be me following my dog around the house all day like, what's sniffing butts like? Why do you eat cat shit? Should I eat cat shit? I heard an ugh at the end of that one. Are we a big, I'm kind of getting the vibe we're good with the legal weed here, Convergence, are we? Do we like the legal pot? Split crowd, you're like, no, I like to watch anime sober. I am high right now, but I am actually against the legalization of marijuana, you guys. Yeah, that's because when I'm not telling jokes in front of a giant photo of my boss/friend, allegedly, I am a bartender, and I don't like competition. We're going to move on from that because I don't think the drug lines are working too well. I just turned 40 recently. I am technically a millennial. I'm an elder millennial if you're a dick. And 40 is when my dad and his friends, that's when they all got into their midlife crises, right? That's about the time they start putting their paths or different ways of going. But like Gen X and the boomers, they got the good stuff, right? They're gonna go rebuild a classic car, right? They're gonna get a Mustang and they're gonna park in front of a Ross Dress for Less and try to get a piece of ass that night, right? Or they're gonna get into smoking meats. They have real big opinions on if applewood or hickory, and they'll tell you their favorite binder, it's mustard. Right? They're gonna tell you they have to get to Costco because pork butt's on sale, you know what I mean? Or they get into woodworking. You know that specific subsect of old man? The guys who rebuild that guy laughed. He's like, my dad built a deck. Like, that's 100%, right? They're building shelves around the house. It's amazing. And those are all great hobbies. But as a millennial, we can't do them because you can't do any of those things in a rental property. So I've been trying to figure out what the millennial midlife crises might look like, and I think I have a few ideas. You're either going to get really into conspiracy theory. Like, if you know anybody between the ages of 35 and 45, they will look you dead in the eye like, the earth is flat! They're gonna get into foraging for mushrooms. By the reaction of that one, I think I found a few. I get it, they're just like, listen, I got some really sick chicken of the woods, man. I got some big morale energy, you know what I'm saying? Plus, you've all been to the grocery store. There's free food in the woods. And the last option, we've already brought it up, is just an open marriage or polyamory. That's it. Those are your three midlife crises. Ironically, they all have the same result: warts. Sometimes you'll find someone who's all three. We call them the Joe Rogan Experience listeners. All right. This is going to be my last thing here. I have a little stand because I see some people of a certain age, and that's fine. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. I know that you're taking time away from your muscle car, woodworking, and smoking barbecue, but to all you Gen Xers, and especially to all you baby boomers, get off my dick. I get it. I get it. Millennials are weak. Oh, you didn't party in the streets till the lights came on. You didn't play like that. Oh, you didn't drink from a garden hose out front. Oh, no. You didn't have pure, uncut cocaine key parties and quaaludes in a summer of love. You don't even smoke cigarettes, pussies. Yeah. Well, you know what my generation did have? Real recipe for Loco. And some of you don't know what the elixir of the gods tastes like, so let me explain it to you. It was a 1-liter can of 15% by alcohol malt liquor that had the equivalent of 3 Red Bulls in it. And they had the audacity to put "drink responsibly" on the side of the can. I drank so many of those. If you couldn't tell by how the fact I've been pacing around the stage like John Wayne after a side of beef. Yeah, I drank so many of those. In fact, I drank so many of those that in a few years, I fully expect a voice to come over the TV when I wake up from a stoner Rick and Morty nap that's just like, "Did you consume 4 Locos between the years of 2002 and 2008? You may be entitled to compensation." Like, 4 Locos are going to be the millennial Camp Lejeune, all right? All right, I've been Matt Doyman. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Wait, Matt, how many extra syllables did I add into your name this time?
You get your mom?
Did I? Oh, I made you super Wakandan. That's dope. Matt Doyman, forever. I can't piss him off because I already got him to help me put 2 more. We're supposed to do shows at Console Room and at Quantum Con, so Matt's helping me put them together. So I can't piss him off because I need friends. I'm like, I need to start saying his name better. Are you guys having a good time so far? Everybody up? The other thing that I thought was really interesting about the concept of identity is that we all know as fully formed human beings that your identity, as far as you are concerned, may morph, change, and adapt over time. So if you talk to me, it was so long ago now. How was it? 17 years ago when I was still married. Then I was like, I know it felt like, it was yesterday. I've been divorced now longer than I was actually married, kind of thing. Yeah, and I know, whenever you see those people on TikTok where they're a lady of a certain age going how they know how they're so difficult to date because they don't want their peace disturbed. The first time I watched one, I was like, oh, I don't know if I would do that. And now I'm just like, how many of these can I talk to? Because I have gotten more and more entrenched in my platitudes the longer that I am single. I'm all like, you come over, you just breathe too loud. And I'm like, you need to... I did not invite you over to my home to breathe at me. I catch myself getting mad at people just trying to live their life, and I'm like, you can't come over here and live your life. Because anything you can do, I can purchase, do myself, and not have you breathe on my sheets. I'm difficult. And I know it's me. It's so funny. I do appreciate some of the stuff back when I was married. Like, my ex-husband used to get really pissed because I was one of those people that never changed my name. I am Paul. I was born, I got the Paul when I was like a little kid, kept it, didn't see the need to like change my name when we got married, and he was pissed. For the whole 5 years we were married, he was mad about that whole thing and thought I was doing him a disservice and an injustice and all of these things. I'm like, your name's not that good. Why do we need more of them? But it was funny, like, we did have some cool adventures, and one of the things that I did like is I did like that team mentality that we had when we were married. Like, we were Team Reeves. That's his last name. We were Team Reeves, and that was like, and it's funny because before we got married, I had a townhouse in Eden Prairie, and then we got married, we decided we were gonna move to North Minneapolis. We moved to North Minneapolis, and so if you wonder why we would give up my townhouse in Eden Prairie and move to North Minneapolis, my ex-husband happens to be white, so he was just necessarily pulled to gentrify this neighborhood. So I sold my townhouse and we moved over to North Minneapolis. We lived over there for a while and everything was fine. And this is not the stereotype, it's just the honest fact. Our house got robbed. And, you know, it's funny, like, when your house got robbed, like, we were trying to figure out what was going on, and we got home, and a bunch of our stuff was missing, and that, you know, is the part of the story that makes sense. Then our neighbor across the street came over, and she's like, oh, my God, I saw who it was. So it turns out the little old lady across the street saw them rob our house, but didn't say anything. Now, here's why. When I found out that my house was robbed, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want it to be a black gentleman that robbed my house. I wanted it to be a white fellow. And that's because I did not want to be robbed. I wanted to be burglarized. Like old-timey burglarized, like a guy in a cape and a cowl that came sneaking in and like shimmied up my drain pipe, something like that. Possibly the Hamburglar or the Cookie Crisp kid, one of those people. Like, I wanted to be burglarized, so I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed that it was a black gentleman that robbed our house. And I know that he was black because our little old white lady neighbor saw him rob the house, but didn't say anything, because she thought he was my relative. Adorable, right? Because when you visit your cousin, isn't that what you do? Come and just kick the door in, look around, right? Throw some things in a knapsack, spread around some chicken wings and some potato salad and leave. And that's my favorite part of the story. I think that's just adorable, because I really love that we have come so far in America as African Americans, that even when we do screw up, some of y'all are afraid to call us on it, you know. So that's what I say right now, free at last, free at last. You guys ready for my next friend to come up and take the stage? You know, it's funny how you come across people, but this next performer who has a very similar sparkly style of dress as I do. We talk about a variety of things, and I'm always happy when she joins me here and when I get to join her on one of her performances, because she is one of the best comedy show producers here in the Twin Cities. She is the producer of the Big Gay Comedy Hour. She is, as I like to call her, Queen of the Twin Cities Lesbians. Please welcome to our stage, Sarah McPeck.
Well, hello, Convergence. What a fantastic audience we have. Give it up for your sexy selves. Talk about embracing identity. I love it. Well, as Miss Shannan said, I am a lesbian. You can applaud for that again. Thank you. I'm what they call a femme lesbian because we need to categorize everything. But I find that I have to tell people that I'm a lesbian a lot. Otherwise, they just think I'm a realtor. Or somebody that will accost you at your cousin's baby shower and try to sell you on the miracle of Scentsy. Or Melaleuca, Pampered Chef. Is there any reason why you can't sign up today? If the orange one is elected, that's going to be how I'm going to approach people into indoctrinating them into becoming lesbians. Can I sign you up today? There's no birth control needed. Y'all are great. Talking about identity, I want to take you all the way back, if you don't mind taking a little walk with me back to the bicentennial year, 1976, the year I was born. I love seeing my birth certificate because on my birth certificate it says Sarah McPeck, 6 pounds, 7 ounces, 24 inches. Y'all, I looked like a jellyfish alien. It's not a beautiful baby. And Fairview, Southdale, birth certificate, Edina, Minnesota. I always think it's so funny when I see that picture because for those of us that are from Minnesota, when you see Edina, Minnesota, you think, this person is a cake eater. This person has no problems, had a gilded life. My parents were raised in South Minneapolis. Fairview, Southdale was the closest. My parents, raging hippies. It was fantastic, y'all. About 3 years after I was born, my parents decided to sell their home in the Kenny neighborhood, which, gosh, I wish we had that today. And they decided to take us up north to a property that had no running water, no electric. We lived in tents. We built a studio apartment that we lived in the middle of the winter, and then my mom would drive the truck to the neighbor's house to get water. In the height of the 80s commercialism and wanting to fit in, I had the 2 parents in town, even up north, that did not fit in. When other children's fathers would come pick them up at school, they looked like fathers. Likely, my dad had a Mickey's in his coolie, Miller Lite, Busch Light, or like the Rape of the Land t-shirt. And my mom, nature, just loved nature. And I am so blessed that I had these people as my parents, but I found myself never really appreciating them growing up, right? I promise I'll make you laugh. So, see, I did it. And so I tried so hard to not be them, right? And the one person in my family that I could always look to for some color, my mom had no makeup. Her eyebrows, I don't think they had a separation because why? We should embrace all of our body hair, and yeah, we should. If that's your jam, go for it. But I want to tell you, my mom had one bra, and she would wear it when we had to drive to the cities to visit her mother. And if I could, I want to tell you about my grandma Jeanette. Now, my grandma Jeanette was, she was treated with some heavy drugs for schizophrenia. That was mostly under control by the time I came around. She walked around like a grande dame in these flowing caftans. She had oodles of makeup. I would watch her and she would just bring out tray after tray after tray, and I was mesmerized. She lived in a trailer park in St. Elmo, Minnesota, and she fed her 3 cats out of crystal cut glass goblets. And I wanted to be her. Oh, she also married her drug and alcohol counselor, you know. And that is so a move I would make, right? Hi, Daddy. And tell me to be a good girl? Okay, I'll stop drinking. I'm just going to keep sharing a little more about myself as we go on and on. And I am the queen of all lesbians in Minnesota because I say that. But there is a reason why I'm so loud about it. I knew that I was gay in college. I don't know, is there anybody else here that maybe came out later in life? Yep, we got some. We did it. When I was in college, Ellen hadn't come out yet. There should have been a lot of tips, let's say, some context clues. I had some very intense friendships. Yes, I'm getting some nods. Voted strongest hands on my women's volleyball league, 4 years running. You know, when you're spiking, you're really working that trapezius, you know, and I just had the get right in there. Sarah, your hands are so good. Do you think you could just get my back a little bit? And I would be like, yeah, I mean, like, probably take your bra off. Just like, because it gets in the way. Right? And they would have like the Rainbow Brigade that would come to like all your college classes and be like, hey, if you're like one of us, like you could join our group and be a homo too. And I was like, I think that I am one of you, but I don't look like any of you. There were no femme lesbians, there were no femme presenting women, and I thought, okay, well, if I'm having these feelings about my roommate, does this mean that I have to look like I changed my own oil? Because if that, I mean, I might suck a dick if that's... I like to be pretty. And I didn't know what was like happening, but I was really like, man, I'm in love with this girl. So, you know, instead of just saying, hey, I'm having some feelings, I think I'm in love with you, I just went this route. I don't know if anybody remembers CDs. Kind of round, and you circle, and you put them in this machine, and they would spin them really fast, and then, like, sound comes out. And so when my roommate, Megan, would go to the bathroom in the morning, and, you know, I had some time to set this up because she was really into her dental hygiene, just really sexy. And I would cue up REO Speedwagon. I can't fight this feeling any longer. And so, like, as I would hear her punching in the numbers to get into the room, I would press play and, like, just casually be curling my hair, not gay at all. It was super straight. And the music would come on, and it would be like, I can't fight this feeling any longer. And then I would just look at her. But yet I'm so afraid to let it go. What started out as friendship has grown stronger. Please kiss me and tell all our friends that we're gay together and just do it with me for once, please. I only wish I had the chance to let it go. So after this went on for, I would say, between 5 to 6 days in a row, she looked at me one day and was like, what is up with you and REO? And I, like, felt so seen. Like, I was like, oh my God, she knows. And I was like, oh, is that who sings this? All right. She went ahead and got a boyfriend, okay? My plan didn't work. In order to retaliate, I got a boyfriend. And then in 1 month of having sex and losing my virginity at 21, I got pregnant. That's how I felt too. I always say I got pregnant trying to prove I wasn't a lesbian. Conversely, though, later on, I will just cut to the chase. After being married for 10 years, I watched The L Word and realized that, you know, there's another life out there. But I will say that a straight man taught me how to eat the best in the world. It was, thank you, Joe. That was great. You are great. So I finally came out, and I did it. I became a lesbian. I started doing all the lesbian things. I got tattoos, and I dyed my hair black because I thought that lesbians needed to be a little hardcore, you know. And I swear to God, I just here's the deal. I didn't care. I just kept having all the lesbians that would come at me that were the worst. All the other lesbians were like, nah, we're not doing it. And I'm like, hey, pick me. And it was just I was just this cute little lesbian, just tra-la-la, tra-la-la, just trying to get over to the gay land. And these big old dykes just kept popping up saying, take off your pants. I was just like, yes, sir, ma'am, sir, they, sir. I'm also a cancer survivor, and that's part of my identity now, too. Yeah. This was the first show that I did 2 years ago when I came. Thank you, so sorry. And the gift that cancer gives you if you make it out alive is that you have radical acceptance of yourself and every cell and every chance that you have to be alive. Fuck what anybody else thinks. Be happy. And I am so grateful for that. And I am taking my gay ass around, doing all of my comedy, living my best life ever. And let's see, I have how much time left? I just have a couple minutes left with you. And I want to tell you this story quick about being a mom, because I'm also a mom, and that's part of my identity. Anybody here have children? Yes. Anybody here have to pick up their 22-year-old child tripping balls on acid? Or, nope, just me? Y'all want to hear about it? Okay. So back to the pandemic times. I'm in Egan at an extended stay, having a booty call with a toxic ex. Okay. We had already had the Applebee's delivered. I was just getting into that spinach artichoke dip. I knew we could probably get high and watch Dateline, and I wouldn't have to have sex for probably 3 or 4 hours. That's the best part about being with an ex. I get a phone call from someone I don't know. Typically, I wouldn't answer it, but something told me to answer it. She was like, hello, Mrs. McPeck. And right then I knew something was odd because that would be my dad's wife. My children's friend knew me only by my married name, and I was like, yeah, this is Sarah, what's going on? Yeah, we did acid, and we're in the woods. And, Alexis isn't doing very well. I was like, oh, thank you for telling me. Guys, I swear to God, these rich kids out in Prior Lake, I knew instead of leaving my daughter in the woods to end up on Dateline, somebody had the presence of mind to be like, no, call Alexis's mom, she's gay. Right? She's cool. And if you are going to have kids, be that parent that says, call me no matter what bullshit you get into. All right, back to the joke. So I'm driving to Prior Lake from Egan. I go to pick up my daughter. She's about 5'10", 120 pounds, soaking wet. She's just wearing a bandeau bra and Umbros. She looks like a crazed gazette, you guys. So, you know how you approach people that are having trouble? You're like, hey, hi, let's get in the car, Okay, so we're driving down 35W. She's trying to jump out. In between trying to jump out, I'm trying to hold the door. She's like rocking back and forth, telling me she's a seeker, and she's screaming. She's like, do you see Uncle Brian's dog Gabby right here? Do you see Aunt Gabby? I'm pregnant with Gabby's baby. I'm like, yeah, you are, honey. We get to Bridges. It's the pandemic. Guess what, guys? They want her to wear a mask. I'm all about wearing a mask, okay? But then I had to put on my realtor voice. And I was like, ma'am, I understand the need for precaution. However, I'm not sure if you see the situation that we're presented with right now. I don't think she's going to wear a mask. Well, you have to wear a mask. So, I'm trying to put the mask on my kid, and she's just like, one right after the other. No, no, no. So they send in a 7-foot, 1,000 height inch man in a full hazmat getup to get my precious little baby. And I'm trying to get in between them. My mama bear's coming in, and I'm like, please be nice to her. Please be nice to her. She's got some mental health problems. She's not high on acid. She's getting really aggressive, right, because of the mask situation. She won't be told what to do. Remember, she's a seeker. She's still screaming back and forth. She's pregnant with a dog's baby. So they put her in a wheelchair, and they're pulling her behind. It's bad when they pull you from behind. And it's COVID, and there's all these legitimately sick people in the waiting room, and I'm mortified. I'm also taping this. Started taping when we got to the hospital, because then we get to the back room, and they pump her up with an antipsychotic. I've never seen it happen, but she went from being like this to like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, keeping your ass off of Dateline. So I'm not a shamer. We all have problems. We all make choices. Got her home. A couple days later, though, we were doing dishes, just airdropped her the footage. This is what I like to call a learning moment. And, she played it cool. She didn't say anything. Because she didn't need any advice. Microdose. But that year for Christmas, I opened up this beautiful magnet she had made for me. It was a butterfly and a Christmas card. And it said, "Thank you so much for always being there for me and letting me fly. Love." Oh, shit, I didn't tell you the punchline part. Now I'm here. Okay. Before they pump her up with antipsychotics, just pretend it's still funny, okay? We're pulling her through, and she's getting aggressive. That's where my squirrel brain stopped. Anyways, she throws up what I hope is not gang signs to the whole waiting room and says, "I'm the greatest OG of the world!" I was like, that's mine. So now, back to Christmas, I opened up the card, and she says, "Thanks for letting me fly, love." Say it with me. The greatest OG of the world. My name's Sarah McPeck. Thanks so much for having me. Give it up, Miss Shannan.
Keep it going for Sarah, everybody. I love Sarah. I was here, Sarah. I love that I was here for your show, the first show that she did when she came back after her cancer adventure. So it was great to see her here during one of the poetry slams at Convergence. That was fantastic. And I now see what I did wrong in high school, because I also would occasionally play music for people that I was trying to woo. And it ended up being like the wrong choices. I didn't know that was very lyrically appropriate for trying to woo somebody instead of what I did, which was, I think I'm a clone now about Weird Al Yankovic. It didn't work. I'm going to bring up our final performer this evening, and this is a dear friend of mine, one of my favorite people to go buy action figures and comic books with. He moved away to Charleston, North Carolina a few years ago and drove all the way back to be part of this show when I told him that I was the guest of honor and they gave me the main stage. And so please welcome to the stage, my heart, his voice, Mr. Will Spotted Bear, everyone.
For the icon, Shannan Paul. Come on. Matt Doyman, Sam McPeck. Give it up for them as well. Come on. My name is Will. I did drive here from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's okay. She didn't get the town right. I lived here a couple years. I couldn't tell the difference either. I'm like, oh, am I in Minneapolis? No, you're in St. Paul. I'm like, it's Canada, right? It's all Canada, right? Do I need a passport? I need a passport. That's fine. We are talking about identity. If you saw me around, I know I look both like the guy that sells some of you cosplayers cocaine and the guy that's going to arrest you for that cocaine, right? That's... I don't fit in one box very well, right? Like, yeah, I am Native American, Will Spotted, I am Lakota, but I'm like, I am Native, but I'm Native kind of like Emilio Estevez is Hispanic. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take it away from him. That's what he is. But neither of us should be on, like, the front poster. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Like, oh. If, like, my Native friend Will taught me something in Lakota, get a second opinion. Like, it's just... I've had so much fun here. It has been a great time. I came up here, I'll tell you about this. So I moved to North Carolina. I got married. Yeah. I found one of you, and then I took it for myself. So yeah, my biggest identity right now has been husband, which has been kind of fun. I'm really married, which is really exciting. Like, really married. Like, I was like, oh man, we're going to be really monogamous. Then my wife's like, oh, cosplay sounds fun. And after meeting all you guys, I'm like, maybe I got to look at what pineapples are about. That's fine. I'll figure it out, right? Shit's fluid. We'll get there. We'll get there together. Look, it's fine. We did grow up different. I didn't grow up in Minneapolis. I grew up in inner city Pittsburgh. I left inner city Pittsburgh. No, really? What word? 412, baby. Yeah. I grew up in inner city Pittsburgh. I left to join the military because the military had better, the military had better, like Iraq had better options, really, than my neighborhood. You know what I'm talking about? Because at least there I also got a gun. It was nice. Look. I met my wife. She grew up here. She grew up in Minnesota. She was raised, you know, with hope. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, she get like hugs and support and shit. My family did more like fist bumps to the face. It's fine. Look. That's the thing about changing identity, right? Because when she met me, I looked like a whimsical Steven Seagal. Not good, not bad, just what it is, right? You know what I mean? Like, now I look like, you know, moderately depressed Aquaman going for an interview. We're cool. Actually, I'll tell you about this because it's a nerd con now. So here's things coming. I'm a big comic book fan. Supergirl, love you. I know there's Beast Boy and Raven. You guys are killing. There was Cyclops, love it. I don't know all the geek stuff, right? Because I grew up, like I said, in inner city Pittsburgh. I couldn't be a nerd around anybody. Right? So any nerdum that involved friends, I know nothing about. Like, I've been doing it the last couple of years. It has been going good. Like, but I'll tell you this. So I've been watching, like, I got some friends that got me into anime. Yeah, I tell you that to tell you this. Last week, I saved a kitty. Yeah, no, it was really cute. She was, the cat was in my front yard. It got bit and we think somebody threw it into, like, you know, our yard. And yeah, very sad, right? My dogs found him and really learned him. Again, the kitty, he bit me a little. And, which is fine. You know, everyone's young. They get emotional. I know I look like a tough guy. Apparently, I'm kind of a softie for animals. We already have 2 dogs. I love them very much. My wife and I had discussed earlier, like, yo, we can't get any more pets. I was like, no, we can't do that. We shouldn't take the responsibility. And then I see this kitty, and my wife's like, yo, are you, you're not getting like an emotional bond to this cat, are you, that you met 5 minutes ago? And I'm like, I think that's between me and Skittles. That's right, yeah. No, I don't own the cat. I gave him to my neighbors. They're down to young kids. They love cats. They lost a cat recently, so I gave them the cat. They named the cat Deku of My Hero Academia because the cat's got really big ears. And the one my wife said was like, oh, also because no one believed in Deku, and then he eventually became the greatest hero in the world with a little help. Yeah, so I'm like All Might because the little fucker took my DNA. That's He got bit. I got photos. You want to see him later? I'm like, I got 2 dogs. It's whatever. That's the thing. I don't look how some people think, right? And that's the fun thing about the identity stuff, right? Because like, I see you guys living like your truth, right? Living in cosplay, living like that. Way I grew up, you didn't do that. So seeing this is really cool. I really, that's really awesome. You guys are doing your thing, dressed up like starship captains or whatever, wearing weird-ass, cardboard-ass baculas or whatever they're called. What's it called? Nerd. Okay, so, ain't even a lightsaber. Get the hell out of here, you know what I mean? I'm still native. They got Chakotay, who's indigenous, but all the indigenous, nah, we're good. Look. Now, I do like, I am a comic book nerd. That's the thing. My wife is not. She's a Harry Potter nerd. Yeah. That's why we're not having kids. I don't know how to raise them. My wife actually got me into Harry Potter. She got into it when she was a kid. She had me watching it. And again, like I said, I was military. And actually, I'll talk about this. Did anyone here get to meet Keith David? Oh, you guys are lucky. I was so jealous. Because I was like, oh, he's from he's a has-been hotel. Where I know him from, the Navy commercials. You remember that shit? He'd be like, I almost joined the Navy over that son of a bitch. You know what I'm talking about? He made that sound so cool. I'm like, I'm going to look great like a Cracker Jack. No, I will not. There's nothing about me that looks buoyant in the good way. You know what I mean? I'm going to do great. Anyway. No, I got married. I actually got married during the plague, which was kind of lovely. Got married in Minnehaha Falls with 6 people. Called a small wedding. It was lovely. I didn't grow up in Pittsburgh. Didn't really have that stuff. You know what I mean? Like no one I knew grew up. No got married. You know, and because of everyone's gambling addiction, we never found the body. So I never owned a suit. It was lovely. But I did the thing, right? Because that was her thing. She wanted to get married. I wanted to be her life partner. I was cool with what we did. I did the proposal thing. It was lovely. The thing is now that I was making these changes, trying to, be the person that she wanted me to show that I cared, right? She sometimes would give me shit for it, right? That's the problem when you try something new. People, when you're still trying something new, they will still get mad when you're not perfect at it sometimes. Sample for this one was she got mad at me because men don't have to wear a Rolex watch. Oh, excuse me, I fucked that joke up, excuse me. Don't have to wear an engagement ring, right? Because I didn't wear one. She had one. She liked the engagement ring. But then after a couple months, she's like, well, why don't you have to wear an engagement ring? I said, I don't know. Don't know what's going on here, right? Like, we're watching Doctor Who. You ask me questions. I don't know about that either, right? Is that a screwdriver? It doesn't really look like one. Looks like a light switch. Whatever. I don't know. Those angels are moving. I don't get it. What's going on? Look. And she goes, well, I'm kind of upset. She goes, I'm kind of upset. You don't have to wear an engagement ring. I said, so what I did, trying to be nice, is I Googled it. And what I found out was the male equivalent, according to GQ magazine, the male equivalent to an engagement ring was a Rolex watch. Yeah, right? Yo. I love the spectrum, but everyone on it's like, that fucking ain't happening at all. She got mad at me like I'm G or Q, right? I didn't write this. She's like, well, that's messed up. That stuff's just made. She goes, you just made that up. I said, no, society did, sweetheart. So what I did as a compromise is, you guys don't know, you know Green Lantern, right? Yeah, you know, like Green Lantern represents willpower and Red Lantern represents rage, yellow fear. And the one I got, the one I wear here, is a blue lantern, which represents hope. Because I hope to be married. Yeah. Man, I wish you guys were there when I showed her this the first time, because, no. Did not work out. She was not happy. She's like, well, that's just a superhero ring. That's not going to help with your show monogamy. I said, sweetheart, it's a superhero ring. Yeah. Excluding right here. Plus, and then I'll tell you this, I had it on my ring finger, right? Green Lanterns wear their finger on their middle finger. And anyone who was willing to sleep with me with that continuity error, might as well have an Avenger Batman on that bullshit. No, thank you. All right, you guys have been wonderful. I've truly had a great time. I'll tell you this again, right? Because for me, like I said, I was real quiet about stuff when I was in the military. Everyone knew I was weird, right? Everyone can agree, no matter which group I'm a part of, because I'm a part of a few, is I'm not from here, right? When I go to Pittsburgh, they're like, well, he was in Minnesota for a while. That explains. I go to Minnesota, like, well, I guess that's what Pittsburgh's like, and that's fine. Transplant, yeah, nomad is what I am. The fact that you guys are this kind of open and this kind of inclusive, and for real, when I moved here, started doing comedy. One of the first people that was that for me was Miss Shannan Paul. Yeah, give her a round of applause, sincerely. I've got to know her for about 9-10 years now. I'm not good at talking sincerely one-on-one. It's probably autism, but I'm 40, so I'll never know. Yeah, I got a 9-year-old nephew that has a lot of my Corky Corks. He's getting a lot more attention at school. Whatever. Anyway. The biggest joy I had is normally when I walk with, the joke is that I'm her security, right? Because I'm a bit of a protective guy. That's just who I am. And I get to see people walk up and talk to her, right? She loves to do that. Everyone who knows to talk to her, she's great. The thing I love seeing is for young people, young women, especially young people of color, looking at her in that way where you know that she was like that first representation. For me, doing comedy in Midwest, especially like 2012, 2013, there wasn't that many comics of color. There wasn't that many people that would talk to us and listen to us and help us out and give us respect and not tell me just vaguely racist shit. Like, hey, you should talk about being more native or wear braids. You know, like really, you know. Have you tried being more native? No. And like, the fact that you guys are on her is fantastic because for what she does for the geek community, for the comedy community, for the autism community, for every person she runs into, she is my personal hero. I love her to death. Please, Miss Shannan Paul, everybody.
Please keep it going for Will Spotted Bear, Sarah McPett, Matt Doima. It truly is part of my gratitude practice to be able to share this time with all of you and to be able to grow and morph and change with all of you. If you live in the Twin Cities, as I said, we do have a residency. We do Miss Shannan's Comedy of the Chaos every other month at in a lovely a supper club in Fridley called Crooner's Supper Club. So our next show is going to be Saturday, July 13th, and we are exploring the chaos of independence. And then we'll have our next show in September, which we are going to be doing the chaos of I wasn't expecting Will to make me cry. But that's part of what we like to do, so we'll be exploring the chaos of seasons when we do it. And one of the things that I'm so happy to be able to join you with is that we get to have all of the emotions. You get to go through the full pinwheel of emotions. You get to use comedy for what you need to, and sometimes you are able to laugh and cry simultaneously, and you deserve to do that as fully functioning human beings. So thank you very much. Stick around for Vilification Tennis, the next show on Main Stage. Enjoy the rest of your con, everyone. We appreciate you.